In the wake of all the news of Donald Trump and the Comey memo and the fact that he shared classified information with the Russian ambassador in the Oval Office, the people who voted for him are actually largely still with him. I mean, they're with Trump. They're still on the Trump train, despite the fact that it's crashing off the mountain. It's off the tracks now. Okay. Now, 80% of Republicans, for example, approve of the job he's doing, according to Republican pollster John McLaughlin. Okay, so hey, he's doing damn good with the base. They love everything that he's doing. Yes, Donald, go Donald. Yes, screw everything up. Okay. Get nothing done. Look, even Ann Coulter's like, the dude ain't doing anything. He's not doing anything that he promised. I'm losing my support for him. I'm just saying, when Ann Coulter starts to want to pull the chute, well, anyway. Now, while his voters are still largely with him, he's actually also losing the constituency of a very key constituency, okay? The donors. He's losing the donors. At a Miami donor retreat, at a high-power Washington dinner, on Capitol Hill, and at political firms across the country, Republican donors and operatives this week watched a barrage of bad headlines about Trump with a mixture of awe, angst, and anger, worrying about the political implications for the Republican majorities and about the legal implications for the president. Interviews with Republicans in and close to the donor community reveal growing worries that Congress has been knocked off kilter by the problems engulfing Trump, and that it will be enormously challenging to get back on track as the contours of 2018 congressional races begin to take shape. Austin Barber, a Mississippi-based GOP strategist and veteran fundraiser, said, "If you're not concerned, you're not paying attention." President Trump was elected because people believed in what he was saying, that he was going to turn the country around, bring more and better jobs to the country, fix the issues with immigration. They've got to deliver on that. They've got to be able to work with Congress to get things done. Now, look, if you had a stronger Democratic Party, which they are laughably, pathetically weak at this point, and not control of the government, 3 branches, okay, which is what the Republicans obviously have, they should be able to get things done. Except that they are so bad at this, they can't even agree on things. They can't agree to get anything done. They're fractured, and of course, Donald Trump's all the different stuff about Russia, of course, and Comey, that is overshadowing any attempt to do anything that Trump wants, whether it be repealing or replacing Obamacare, which obviously did not work out very well, at least the first 2 attempts, and then the whole discussion that's actually going to be tabled, at least until after the election, from what I've read from different sources, tax reform. Cutting corporate taxes, which is what they want to do. They want to cut it to 15%. They want to cut individual tax rates. They want to reduce the amount of tax brackets. So that's like the Republican dream. They want to get rid of taxes because, you know, they want their donors to have more and more money. That's what the donors pay the Republicans to do. Hey, cut my taxes, decrease my regulations, which when it comes to Barack Obama's regulations, especially when it comes to climate, they've actually been largely successful. But on anything that really involves Congress, they haven't been successful at all. And that's, of course, why these donors are pretty concerned. Now, if you look at the coalition, and this is that veteran fundraiser, Austin Barber again. If you look at the coalition that ultimately got Trump over the top, he had his base. He probably still has his base, which is true. But he had to convince mainstream establishment Republicans, many in high finance world of politics, to come along with him. I'm sorry, this is Representative David Jolly. Now, he says, after Jeb Bush got out, others got out, you saw the establishment finance Republicans, many of them holding their nose, recognize that they want a Republican in the White House. That's the group that may be eroding right now. Now, if you're a Trump supporter, you might be like, good, great. I don't like the global financial elite. Trump went after the global financial elite. He doesn't work for them anyway. Well, does he, though? Well, it turns out that Trump's legislation, the kind of stuff that he's signing off on and pushing for, is actually a lot of what the establishment actually wants, with some small exceptions, of course, like TPP, for example, which is definitely favored by the establishment. And, of course, they want more immigration. The establishment does, establishment Republicans anyway, and he is in favor of building a giant useless wall. But anyway, now, in the core of it, economically, it's like a wet dream for Republican donors in the financial industry. You have deregulation of the financial industry, giant tax cuts for corporations, the repeal and replacement of Obamacare, which really, in reality, is actually just another giant tax cut for the richest Americans. His aim and the aims of the financial elite and the establishment are roughly the same. I mean, look, he packed his cabinet full of Goldman Sachs alumni. There's a lot of Goldman Sachs in that cabinet. But anyway, he is losing the donors, which I'm sure he does care about because they gave him money. They're the donors. And they give him the potential as well to make millions and millions of dollars after he gets out of the White House. So there's that angle too. So if you're Donald Trump and all you care about is yourself, all you care about is money, well then if you lose the donors, and he hasn't lost Rebecca and Robert Mercer, by the way, which are his largest donors, but who knows if that's going to be coming soon. Well, he doesn't want to lose those guys. That makes him lose opportunity to make more money in the future for Donald Trump. And again, that's what Trump is most interested in. Is, hey, how do I make money for myself? How do I use my position to get rich? And not only rich, but more popular. Now, of course, he seems to be screwing up that whole thing. Now, the Republican president is grappling with reports that he shared classified information with Russian officials and that he encouraged then FBI Director James Comey to end a probe into Axe National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. That report, which surfaced in the New York Times, and which the White House denies, comes a week after Trump fired Comey, who was leading an investigation into ties between Russia and the Trump campaign. Asked which of those developments tripping him up was most troubling, one major donor and fundraiser replied, "It's hard to choose." Blunder there. It is hard to choose which blunder is worse than the other. The guy's kind of an idiot. And while they were the GOP donors were content to let Trump be Trump as long as they get their tax cuts, the failure of repealing Obamacare and the Russia cloud hanging over their head, and the stopping the talk of reforming the tax code has Wall Street in a panic. I mean, just today, the Dow dropped over 300 points. So Wall Street is like, oh crap. The guy that we thought was going to actually do our bidding is not. He can't get anything done because Democrats are now emboldened by the Russia thing. And then his party is starting to turn away from him. The only people that are still there are the base. And even that is starting to slip a little bit. Not very much, though, to be fair. The source who described the GOP donor community as shell-shocked and more inclined to focus on the House and Senate right now ultimately pointed to reports of pressuring Comey, which could be obstruction of justice, by the way. If true, it meets the broad definition of obstruction of justice, the donor said, adding that it's likely that Democrats would go forward at some point with impeachment proceedings. And yesterday we actually saw a Democrat, I believe it was Al Green, calling for impeachment. So it's already starting to begin. Now, the Republican added that it's certainly going to bog down any legislative agenda. And again, that's not what they're looking for. They wanted Trump so they could push through their agenda of cutting taxes and deregulating. With all this going on, there's no oxygen left in the room. They can't push through that agenda, that legislation. Now, I have more quotes on this, if that's not enough. At a gathering of the Republican Governors Association at a Trump resort in Miami this week, which, by the way, that seems rather, I don't know, strange. They're gathering at a Trump resort, which means any money spent there is going to go right back into the president's pocket. Hugely corrupt, right? Donors were also anxious, consumed by the feeling that it's going to be impossible to get anything done, said one Republican operative in attendance. They're flipping out like everybody else. Of course they are. People are in meltdown mode. So this is a Republican operative. When you start to lose the donors because you cannot deliver on your legislative agenda, that is a bad sign. And it's not because the Democrats were putting up such a stiff, brave resistance. The Democrats can't resist their way out of a paper bag. They're so pathetic. And yet, Trump somehow is so incompetent and not a deal maker at all that he can't get the different factions within the Republican Party to pass sweeping tax cuts and repeal and replace Obamacare, which was his #1 pledge. He is so incompetent. He can't get this done. And look, you lose the donors, and guess what? You lose the congressmen too. The congressmen that the donors bribe with campaign contributions. You lose the Congress and you're done. Especially if the Democrats actually do bring impeachment charges. Now, they're not there yet. But is it beyond the realm of possibility? I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility anymore. But back to the donors, there's a lot of frustration. They'd like to see things move forward faster, referring, of course, to the donors. The RGA member said, "There is a frustration that none of the undersecretaries have been appointed. I think we've got to start moving on policy, but at the end of it, people are still cautiously optimistic and hopeful things will still be moving ahead." Well, you got to be hopeful because there are millions and millions of dollars on the line. And not only that, if they get nothing done, the Republicans in Congress, well, that's going to look bad for them in 2018 when they run for re-election. Going back to Mr. Barber, at this time as we speak today, I'm more concerned with this. This is getting their legislative agenda off track. And listen, they've got a year to get stuff done before the elections in 2018. And I know members of Congress and President Trump, these guys want to get this stuff done. But they're just so off message. They've got to find a way to get back to focusing on what people care about, what people elected him to do. If not, they're in real trouble. The problem here is that Trump, he didn't care about policy. He doesn't know policy. The only thing Trump cares about is himself and winning, of course. Now, it doesn't matter what he wins on. He thought firing Comey would be a win for him. A win-win. Like, the Republicans don't like him. The Democrats don't like him. I'm going to fire him. Win-win. And we saw how that turned out. All he wants to do is win and take credit for something. And how's he supposed to do that if he keeps creating more and more controversy? The news has been moving so fast with everything that's going on. There's breaking news stories every hour on what Trump's doing, on how he's making the situation worse. Now, here's the most interesting part about this. And this comes from a Republican operative commenting on what a lot of the donors are also saying. Quote, "I'm finding it hard to find people who say, no, this isn't bad," said one Republican operative with close ties to the donor and lobbying worlds. "It's gradients of bad. From, we were wrong before, he'll survive, to, this is the beginning of the end. I'm not finding anyone who says this isn't a problem. Is this the beginning of a problem that knocks him out? What is the over-under on him making it 4 years?" That's the conversation. So, again, you have all these top donors and top Republicans that are asking questions of, is he even going to make it for 4 years? We don't know. Is this the thing that takes him down? One Republican bundler who has worked closely with the Republican committee was incensed, saying that Trump had actually done the very thing that conservatives have fretted Hillary Clinton might hypothetically do, intentionally or not, when it came to sharing classified information with the adversaries. The source said, "These are not minor and insignificant issues. We pilloried the Democratic nominee for creating the conditions where that possibly could happen. He did it. He admits to it. I don't know how you overcome that. When that was the cornerstone of folks not voting for her," referring to Hillary Clinton. "So here we are, and I guess, shame on us." Shame on us indeed, or should I say, shame on you, or
shame, shame, shame.
If that's not evidence of a meltdown, I don't know what is. Lock him up. Lock him up. No, we're not there. We're not close to that. But is this the beginning of the end? I think it's possible. And we are getting there. It's not the Democrats that are going to take down Donald Trump. And you have to understand that, okay? The Democrats aren't doing shit. They can't even agree on what direction to go. The DNC wants to go in the corporate way, and the progressives are trying to challenge them, and it's great, because I think we need challengers from the left. The thing that's going to take Donald Trump down is himself. the donors, with the help of the donors and the Republican Party. Now, for now, people like Paul Ryan, who is part of the Republican establishment, they're still behind Trump, for the most part, right now. But if that changes, look, if you lose Paul Ryan, well, then it's already over. That's the big sign that you know. He's not there yet. But once you see that, it's over. Say hello to President Mike Pence, because that's what's going to happen. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.